Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring AllintScrubs in the top right corner playing the blue Terran, and in the bottom left we have CoolTech, which is our red Zerg. We are on Cloud Kingdom. Both players are in high masters, like top 10 or something like that. So it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game, I am sure. Cloud Kingdom featuring, plenty of opportunities for both sides to misuse the map. You've got the chokes, the destructible chokes that the Zerg will take down to get the surrounds on, and then you have all of that up and down landscape, which the siege tanks can misuse just to shell from a distance, and little cubby holes that you can kind of place your units behind so that they're really defended against all sorts of attack. It's a really great map. I really like it a lot. You got doodads that look like honeycombs on it. What's not to love, really? What's not to love? CoolTech sending out his first drone for that scout, and Allin is working on his wall off, totally standard at this time. No early gas out of either player, no early pool out of CoolTech, and then there's no super early SCV sent out to do a proxy 2 barracks or something like that. So great, all signs point towards macro and full steam ahead. You got the barracks coming up for AllintScrubs. I don't know anything about either of these players except that they're really good. The replay was posted to cast it with plenty of promise for good micro and macro, and so I've got my fingers crossed, and so should you. Hatchery coming out for CoolTech. He's grabbing that hatchery pool absent at this time, so hatch first. Expect to see it shortly thereafter, though. He is floating almost enough minerals for it, and so we'll expect to go down, and with this timing both of these should finish at approximately the exact same time. It takes 65 seconds, 35 seconds behind the hatchery, and since the hatchery was started 30 seconds early, both should finish at the same time. And if CoolTech can float enough resources to start the queens at the exact same time, it's really neat to watch 2 queens being built at the same at 2 different hatcheries and pop out at the same time, so their larva injects line up, and it's just one of the hallmarks of someone who really knows their race and is very, very good at it. Another hallmark of somebody who knows their race is knowing when they can expand early with just 1 barracks and no gas down yet. We can see that Allin is grabbing his command center first before any other unit production facilities go up. A bit ballsy, but he did know. He's got the scout off. He knows the pool is up, as is the hatchery, and there goes both of those queens at the same time, which is what I was talking about. That's such a cool play. I wish I was that good. I am not that good. Rest assured, I am terrible. Refinery being built for AllintScrubs, going to be working on those tech add-ons. The bunker, just some added support. He got the scout out. He knows the pool is up, so he knows that if there's going to be pressure, it's going to be delayed because of the hatchery. And the pressure is really only going to be used to keep AllintScrubs confined to his base, because CoolTech really just wants to get his hatchery up and mining and fully saturated, maybe even take that 3rd, so that he can stay 1 base ahead of the Terran. It's going to be difficult to do that, though, just depending on which pathway AllintScrubs is deciding on going. He can use, and I've seen it used to great effect, the factory build with some reactor Hellions. Hellions doing massive damage here just with the different pathways into the base, and even down at the 3rd you've got 3 different pathways into it, meaning that the probes are incredibly delicate and exposed. We can see a factory is being built right on top of the barracks. It could be a 1-1-1. It could be the factory Hellion, so it's really going to be crucial to keep an eye on that bunker or barracks and see what add-on gets added to it. There goes the add-on. It is a reactor, so hopefully we'll see this barracks lift off and the factory take advantage of that reactor. We'll get some Hellions out on the field, and we can punish the hubris of CoolTech, who is deciding to grab that hatchery, leaving his probes, drones there, incredibly exposed. 2 gas, 3 and 4 coming up at the main and natural. Once you get the 3rd up, it's a little early on that gas. Usually I like to grab it right when the 3rd is finishing, but I also usually have 1 or 2 gas already up to get my spawning pool. All that gas is going to be dumped into upgrades. We can see the Evo chamber is being built for CoolTech. At the same time, AllintScrubs isn't really 100% committing to this factory build. Yeah, he's got the factory on the reactor, but he's not 100% mainlining those Hellions, even though he's got the money. It looks like he's just going to use this Hellion harassment to do just that, just harass, not do a game-ending probe kill. This command center is going to take advantage of the third right here. Hopefully, Tech will take enough damage from this Hellion harass so that he doesn't feel confident enough to go out and harass AllintScrubs, because when Scrubs grabs that third, he's going to be in the exact same situation CoolTech is in right now, which is he's kind of exposed. 10 drones, 11 drones on the way for CoolTech as he begins to work on that saturation to the third base. Very delicate time right now, very much exposed. You can see that the 2 Hellions are out on the field, but that factory has switched to a tech lab and is working on siege tech. And the Hellions are basically on their own. No more Hellions for the foreseeable future on the field for AllintScrubs, as he just uses these Hellions to go out and scout around, sees that the third is up, not 100% saturated, can't really see that there with all those queens in the way, but he knows that the third's up, so that AllintScrubs is going to be feeling confident that he can wait a little bit longer, wait for his tech to get up, but he can't wait too long because CoolTech is going to get farther and farther ahead as far as the economy is concerned. 50 to 40 drones right now. 160 to 13k. The Overlord comes in, sees all, is going to get taken down by some Marines with the stem on the way. Multiple barracks coming down. Hopefully, I don't think that Overlord made it far enough to actually see that factory had a tech lab on it, but he still knows that something's up. He can see the Hellions are out on the field. Even if he did see that tech lab there, he wouldn't know if it was siege tanks or that factory who was simply researching blue flame Hellions. With only the 2 on the way, that damage is going to be mitigated. You know, we've got spines at the main, or the natural, and we've got another one coming up down at the third. So those Hellions aren't going to be able to do too much damage, but they will be able to hold just good scouting. Starport's coming up just to get the upgrades. We have the armory. Where is that starport being built? Oh, it's down for the reactor. So yeah, plenty of medevacs coming out. We have that nice siege tank Marine. The upgrades on the Marines, that stim pack will be finishing shortly, as were the 1-1. On the other hand, CoolTech is getting out some Banelings with their centrifugal hooks. He's going to be able to close very quickly. We can see that the creep is just absolutely insane. Usually we can rely on the Hellions to keep that creep back, but because there's so many queens out on the field, those Hellions really aren't effective at holding it back on their own. 2-2 immediately started for AllintScrubs. We can see the level 2 weapon melee is also on the way. 1-1 is already finished for CoolTech. Pathogen glands, both players heavily teching towards just higher and higher tech. It's really just an arms race at this moment. AllintScrubs has got a very high army count, but he's only using them to secure that third, being very cautious. CoolTech is grabbing a fourth, on the other hand, being just a little bit reckless, a little bit more macro oriented. I would have expected him to do some pressure up here on the third. Doesn't want to give that up without much of a fight, but with this siege tank line, very nice spread out. The Zerglings and Banelings aren't going to be very effective, very cost effective at dealing that. I bet with this army he could take the third, take it down completely, but how much he would lose to these siege tanks, it might leave him exposed to counter aggression coming out of AllintScrubs. And with the medevacs on the field, drops are going to be something to be considered from both players. Maybe we'll see the pure count of spines and spores at each base start to rise. 2-2 finishing for both players. Combat shields finally started at the 12-minute mark, totally standard there. But with so many barracks on the field, it looks like AllintScrubs is really just devoting himself to this build, this Marine and siege tank build. With the medevacs, it can be very mobile. The medevacs making drops, very dangerous possibility. But with the siege tanks, the main army is going to be limited on exactly how it can move forward, because if these siege tanks get caught unprepared with their pants down, get a surround somewhere out on the open field, the Zerglings and the centrifugal hook Banelings are going to be able to close so incredibly quickly. So AllintScrubs now, if his third out, feels confident that he can move out, the 7 infestors on the way will help deal with this push, but it looks like Scrubs is moving towards more of an aggressive stance with that third being held. He wants to make sure he checks CoolTech, keep it from fully saturating that fourth, get the fourth up, and basically he's behind to the point where he's pretty much done for. So this fourth needs to something needs to happen here. AllintScrubs needs to make this attack happen. But as he gets closer to the creep, CoolTech knows it's going to happen. Here comes the big push. Plenty of excellent fungal growths coming down. The Banelings come in, do massive hits to the siege tanks who weren't fully siege moded yet. The Zerglings covering them up completely, and the Marines fall back. It looks like plenty of Marines were left over. They stem, but the Zerglings pull back. An excellent attack for CoolTech. He definitely came out on top there. AllintScrubs moving out, just moving a little bit too far, not leapfrogging his siege tanks. Really cost him a lot of money, but remember, he is on 3 bases. It's a very strong defensive position right now, and it looks like he's going to be using drops to get himself back in the game. Is going to scout around. Maybe he's expecting there to be a 5th down here, and it looks like CoolTech is also expecting that because he's going to be building that shortly. But with the high mobility afforded by this Zergling Infestor army, the drops are going to be limited in the effectiveness that they can handle. Though this is quite intimidating. 2 full medevacs coming in, definitely going to land down on the 4th. It looks like CoolTech is expecting it, though. He has his Zerglings in position, and he will notice them if he's paying attention. They'll come in, oh my goodness, totally in the perfect position. These Zerglings are 100% ready for this drop, and it looks like they get pulled back. Again, noticing that the Zerglings are in position. We can see the 3-3 coming out for both players, right? Yep, 3-3 for both players. The drop in one of those cubby holes that I was talking about before, definitely doing a lot of damage, definitely being cost effective, but not doing anything besides taking out units, which is not what AllintScrubs needs. He needs to do an economic blow. He needs to definitely destroy a base or a probe lines, a stem, which is not the best idea in the world. Good positioning, but unfortunately they pull back a little bit, take a lot of damage, and die a terrible and painful death. But what this drop is doing right now is buying AllintScrubs enough time to get up that siege tank line again. He lost 6 of them in the last attack, which was absolutely devastating, but the Marines are dime a dozen. He's got so many barracks he can produce them 3 or 12 at a time. But only with 2 factories. You can see he's got several of them queued up, and he needs to get that number, a critical number of siege tanks, so that he can deal with the next big push that's coming out of CoolTech. CoolTech is maxed right now. He's got 11 Ultralisks on the way, and all those upgrades that were spent on the Zergling, the 2-2, soon to be 3-3, is going to carry over to those Ultralisks. We don't see the Carapace being researched for the Ultralisks. That'll make them more effective, but not 100% necessary in this matchup. Always a good idea, though. Make your army more cost-effective, and you win, basically. Some good fungals going down, but it's exposing these infestors to the siege tank fire. Oh, 4 of them go down. Finally, these siege tanks getting siege moded out. So AllintScrubs grabbing a large portion of map control. He's even maybe thinking about grabbing the 4th. His main is he's going to get mined out in a couple minutes. 25 minerals only on that patch. So it'll be gone very shortly. Again, not leapfrogging, but now he is siege moding. These Ultralisks are going to run right into that siege line, take a massive amount of hits. Good Baneling strikes, though. Not a lot of Zerglings in this. He's relying mostly on the AoE from the Infestors, but the Ultralisks are so weakened by the siege tank fire. He's succeeded in cleaning this up, but with the amount of Ultralisks that he lost, actually the resources lost is now heavily in AllintScrubs' favor. So even though AllintScrubs lost his entire force, CoolTech lost the majority of the resources on that fight. But he's got 4th base up, he's got 5th base up, he's got 6th base on the way. So if there's a player who can afford to lose a ridiculous amount of units, it's a Zerg on 80 drones with, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. Absolutely ridiculous. AllintScrubs, he's got to be feeling intimidated now. His siege tank line was marginally effective at dealing damage to those Ultralisks, and now that he knows that he has tier 3 tech to start to deal with, there's the chitinous plating and the adrenal glands coming out for CoolTech. He's going to have to be feeling, what can I do? What tech can I get to? He can't afford battle cruisers with the gas income that he's got right now. With only 3 base, it's going to be 2 base very shortly. He needs to get this 4th base up. Man, Thors, but they're so immobile. He's just opening himself to a constant stream of aggression on one end to the other. It looks like he's going to be mixing in Marauders, an excellent choice against the heavily armored Ultralisks, and he's also grabbing multiple different bases. He's not going to be able to grab this one because of the burrowed Zergling. An excellent choice there, but with the Planetary Fortress down at the 4th, and he's only using disposable mules, he's going to be feeling pretty good about that 4th. Good fungal there. 2 Spires on the way with the Hive Tech already out. We can expect one of those Spires to morph into a Greater Spire shortly, and we can see the Broodlord Tech come out also. With so many bases, so much gas, Ultralisks not 100% what you need in this matchup. The money mixture of Broodlord Corruptor is really what CoolTech is going to start working towards. But he's going to have to get rid of some of his army. It helps to lose them to Siege Tank Fire, but he wants to be cost-effective with the Infestors, even if he's trying to get rid of them. 195 supplies not allowing him to get the Banelings out, or the Broodlords out that he needs. A lot of Banelings, though, with some Infestor shots to hold this army in place. He's AllintScrubs isn't going to be able to kite away from that aggression. It looks like AllintScrubs is preparing for that Broodlord, though. He's got several starports on the field, mass-producing those Vikings. It's just really going to be a good idea. As this becomes an increasingly more air-dominated field for the Zerg, you have to be very careful with those Vikings, have to be very careful against those Marines, and you have to be sure that your Broodlords are in a defensible position, that stemmed Marines can't just stream in and destroy them, like these Banelings are going to do that Planetary. Wow, half those Banelings just destroying that Planetary. Usually you can expect a Planetary to take more damage than that, but a couple Banelings do make it into the probe line up at the 3rd. Deal a serious economic damage there, 400 over 1200, and 91 drones to 50 SCVs. That's rather intimidating for CoolTech. He's going to be able to re-macro anything and everything he wants to, just constantly reproduce units. And so AllintScrubs is definitely going to have to do something about that economic edge. I think drops might be the answer here, rather than doing pushes up with Marauders, trying to trick CoolTech into falling into the Siege Tank line. I think what AllintScrubs needs to do is do a drop down here and a drop up here. At the same time, just right behind the mineral line, well away from these spines. Just 1 or 2 Marine medevac drops, and you could see that expansion go down, or at least seriously delay that sort of mining. This sort of aggression is what needs to be happening for Allin, but instead it's happening for CoolTech. He takes out the 4th that was trying to be taken again, succeeds in taking down one of the orbital. All of these Zerglings are going to go down, but again, that supply that CoolTech needed in order to successfully tech towards Broodlords. The loss of minerals is secondary to the gain in supply count. You can see that 7 more spine crawlers are on the way down at the 4th, I guess. And all these massive Broodlords, once they come out, it's really going to be up to AllintScrubs to have enough Vikings to deal with that aggression. 8 Broodlords on the way, 5 more Vikings on the way, so it's definitely going to be an air-on-air clash. There are a couple of Ultralisks, a couple of Infestors. The Infestors are going to be great if those Vikings get caught unawares, all bundled up. But we need more of these Corruptors to stay Corruptors so that we have anti-air. Can't really rely on the Infestors with the Siege Tanks shelling them from the sky. Only 2 Siege Tank shots can take down an Infestor. Or is it just 1 right now? 60? Yeah, no, it's 2. Still hasn't succeeded in taking that 4th down there. That's got to irk him with that Zergling. Maybe just a single Raven could go down there and drop a cannon. But it looks like both players are so nervous right now. A little bit of a mistake right there, losing some Infestors. He's got to know that the ground has been sighted by that Xel'Naga tower. He can't sneak up and do a fungal growth on the units, even though they are nice and bundled up right there. 9 more Corruptors on the way. We can see that the number of Corruptors has stabilized a little bit, pretty much even for both sides. A scan shows him exactly what death looks like. Everything's moving in. We've got a lot of Vikings, though. If those Vikings can get a couple of shots off... Oh, some massive fungal growths. Missing the Vikings, though. That fungal growth needs to happen. Right on the Vikings. Oh, catches the Vikings. This unit's were retreating back towards the Siege Tank line, but now it looks like all the Marines had to turn around, deal some more damage. Not a lot of the Vikings have gone down, but it looks like enough to stunt the aggression on the Broodlords. Several Broodlords have gone down, but they're constantly firing down, just destroying the amount of Marines that were on the field. Another swell of Corruptors. We see 8 more on the way and 4 more Broodlords being built. All the Vikings are down. These siege tanks are incredibly exposed. Broodlords are barely going to catch up with them if they just choose their directions wisely. It looks like the siege tanks are going to make it away, but the Vikings aren't. These Corruptors overextending themselves a little bit, exposing themselves to some Marine fire, but every one of those Vikings they take down is a Broodlord that they don't lose later on. Very important there. 5 more Corruptors pop out. They're going to be joining this fight. It looks like All-In is going to be pushed all the way back to his main. These Broodlords have to be very careful. They're very exposed right now. And a huge swell of Marines come in behind the siege tanks, stemming, getting underneath those Broodlords. They're focusing them down. 1 goes down. 2 goes down. That looks like it, though. Multiple Corruptors are back on the field dealing with all the Vikings as they're made. Thor's finally on the field, but they're just going to get so quickly surrounded by the Broodlings and Zerglings that the amount of damage they're going to do is minimum, 10 more Broodlords on the way. Oh my goodness. It's just macro for days. So this is it for AllintScrubs. 60 supply to 196. Oh, GG's. Macro versus Zerg. I feel you. I feel you, Scrubs. I feel like the only correct answer to this play would have been constant drops. Wow, look at that. I didn't even know that both spires were down here, but you spend a money drop down here and you get your guys right in between. You could only be attacked 1 or 2 at a time, and with a medevac healing them, it would have been game over because both of those spires would have gone down and you wouldn't have to deal with this unit composition at all. At least for another 3 minutes, which would have bought you enough time to get maybe your 4th. Other places you could have done a drop right up here. There's no anti-air at all, not even a queen. And you've got a nice exposed drone count, something that CoolTech definitely did correctly, which is just undersaturate every single one of his expansions. Even his main was mining up to the 30-minute mark, basically, because he had such a small amount of drones at each expansion. They were constantly mining, and even though time went on, he never ran out of minerals at any of his bases. I think you just got choked to death, AllintScrubs, which is tough. I don't feel like you made a wrong decision, except for maybe that first fight where you brought your siege tanks in unsieged and you didn't kind of leapfrog them in. I think that was the only wrong decision, and I don't think it cost you the game. I think CoolTech is just a phenomenal player. Thanks, CoolTech or AllintScrubs, whoever posted this. Much obliged. Thank you for watching this. If you guys have a comment, that'd be awesome. I love hearing from anybody who has anything to say ever. And if you have a game you want me to cast, that's cool too. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am big and scary.